I drive a truck for a living. I'm not one of those guys with a tricked out rig and a proud handle. I'm just a guy with a CDL and a mountain of debt hauling cheap furniture from one soulless warehouse to another. My life is a series of lonely highways, greasy diner coffees, and the constant hypnotic drone of a diesel engine. I've seen every corner of this country through the box-spattered glass of my windshield. I have seen it all, or at least I thought so. I was wrong. This happened last night on the notoriously desolate stretch out of 180 that cuts through the salt flats of the state. It's a place that feels like the surface of the moon. Flat, white, and empty for hundreds of miles in every direction. It's 3 a.m. The road is a straight black ribbon unwinding into a void. The only light coming from my own high beams and a brilliant star dust the sky. I've been driving for 10 hours straight, pushing to make a deadline in Salt Lake City. My eyes were burning. My brain was a fuzzy, caffeinated mess. That's when I saw the flicker of movement. It was in the scarp desert to my right, at the airy edge of headlights reach. My first thought was a coyote, or maybe a deer that had wandered too far from anything green. I kept my eyes on the road, but I was aware of it now. Then I saw it again. It was a tall, looping shape, moving with a terrifying, unnatural grace. It was keeping pace with my rig. I was doing a steady 60 miles an hour. My blood ran cold. I took my foot off the accelerator, the truck slowing to a 60. The shape in the darkness slowed with me, its long, spindly legs pumping with an effortlessly fluid motion. My heart started pumping like a hammer against my ribs. I pushed the accelerator down, the engine roaring as the truck climbed back to 70. It sped up, too, staying perfectly parallel to my cab, a silent dark greyhound in the night. I couldn't make out any details, just his silhouette. It was vaguely humanoid, but too tall, too thin to be human. Its arms were too long, its strides impossibly wide. It ran with a smooth, gliding motion, its feet seeming to barely touch the ground. This went on for 5 miles, an eternity for me. Just the roar of my engine and the silent, impossible runner in the dark. My logical mind was scrambling for an explanation, an optical illusion, a strange reflection in my side window, but it was too consistent not to be real, too goddamn real. My hand, slick with a cold sweat, reached for the CB radio. It was an old habit, a holdover from a time before cell phones existed. Most of the time, the channels were just a hissing, static-filled void. But out there, in the dead of night, sometimes you could find another lonely soul to talk to. I keyed the mic, my voice a shaky hoarse whisper. Breaker 19? Anyone got a copy out on 180? Eastbound about 100 miles west of the lake? The static hissed back at me. I was about to give up when a voice cracked through the speaker. It was an old, weary speaker. It was like a voice gravelly from a lifetime of cigarettes and truck stop coffees. You got it, copy, driver. What's your 20? I don't know, I stammered, struggling to speak. I think I'm seeing something out here. Something running alongside me? I don't know. There was a long, heavy pause. Then the static hissed and popped. When the old-timer's voice came back, all the weirdness was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp urgency. Son, you listen to me, he said, his voice low but deep and serious. You listen to me and you do exactly what I say. You see a tall, fast runner out there in the dark. Yeah? I whispered quietly. Okay, you've got a pacer? We call them pacers. Now you're gonna follow a very simple few rules. You got that? Simple, but you don't break them. Not for anything. What? What are the rules? Rule number 1, the voice crackled. You do not take your eyes off the road to stare at it. You see it in your peripheral vision. You keep it there. You do not give it your full attention. You understand? Okay, I said, my eyes glued to white lines on the asphalt in front of me, even as my brain was screaming at me to look at my right. Rule number 2. You do not acknowledge it in any way. You do not flash your lights, you do not honk your horn, you do not talk to it. As far as you are concerned, it's not there, it's not real, it's just a shadow, a trick of light. You're giving it nothing. Got it. I breathe, sigh of relief. And rule number 3, the old-timer said, his voice dropping even lower. And this is the most important. You need to remember this one. Whatever you do, son, you do not stop your vehicle. Not for anything, not for a flat tire, not for a flashing light, not if the damn engine catches on fire. You keep that damn truck rolling until the sun comes up. You hear me? But what is it? I pleaded. What does it want from me? There was another long, heavy sigh from the other side of the radio. Kid, listen to me. It's an escort. The problem is you don't want to go where it's taking you. You just keep driving. You keep your eyes on the road and you drive east. Pray you got enough fuel to make it to the dawn. The radio went silent. He was gone and I was alone again. With the silent runner and his 3 terrible rules. I tried to focus, eyes on the road, don't acknowledge it, don't stop. It sounded simple enough, but the presence of it, a constant reminder, a looping shadow in the corner of my vision, was a screaming distraction. I glanced down at my GPS, hoping the familiar and comforting sight of the digital map would ground me, but the screen was wrong. The little icon that represented my truck was no longer on the clean, straight line of 180. It was on a thin grey road that wasn't on the map, a road that was withering off into a vast, blank, unabled spot on the screen. The GPS was still tracking my speed, my heading, but it was showing me on a non-existent road, a road that led to nowhere. My heart seized. I looked up. And up ahead, in the distance, I saw them, faint and flickering lights, the lights of a town. It was impossible. I knew this stretch of road like the back of my hand. There was nothing out there, no towns, no truck, no stops, no civilization for at least another 50 miles. But the lights were there, a warm, inviting glow in the oppressive darkness, and the pacer, still running alongside my truck subtly, gracefully, lifted one of its long, thin arms and then just gestured a slow, deliberate point towards an off-ramp that was now materializing out of the darkness ahead. An off-ramp that I knew with an absolute certainty was not supposed to be there. The off-ramp led directly towards the ghost town. It was a silent, undeniable command, a polite but firm invitation into a place I did not want to go. Rule number 3, do not stop. But what about turning? Does that mean I have to follow its order or not? The old timer hadn't said anything about turning. My hands were slick on the steering wheel. The pull to turn, to follow the lights, to follow the pacer's silent instruction was a physical thing. A magnetic urge, that old man terrified's voice who was the loudest sound in my head. And thankfully, I realized that I didn't want to go where it was showing me, where it wanted me to go. I kept the wheel straight, I kept my eyes on the road ahead, and the true, real, lonely ribbon of 180. I ignored the phantom of Ram, I ignored the silent pointing arm in my peripheral vision. The moment I passed the ramp, the atmosphere in the cab changed, the air grew cold, heavy, and the pacer, it was no longer looping gracefully. The smooth, fluid motion was gone, replaced by a jerky, angry, fanatic pumping of its limbs. It was still keeping pace, but it was a movement of rage, a frustrated energy, full of anger. I had disobeyed him. I have made him angry by the disappointments He wanted me to go to that town. Up ahead, I saw flashing lights. My first thought was a police car, a state trooper. A wave of relief washed over me, but as I got closer, I saw it was just a car pulled over on the shoulder, its hazard lights blinking in a steady, lonely rhythm. The driver's side's door was wide open, and standing perfectly still beside the car, silhouetted in the flashing orange light, was not a pacer. It wasn't moving, it was just standing there, as still as a statue, its head turned towards my approaching truck. It was waiting. Its partner had failed to guide me off the road, so now he had a roadblock. Rule number 1, don't stare at it. Rule number 3, do not stop. My foot trembled on the accelerator. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to slow down, to swerve, but I could hear the old man's voice. Do not stop, son. I kept the wheels straight. I focused on the space between the stopped car and the white line, a gap that was barely wide enough for my Greek to fit through. As I drew level with the car, I couldn't help but glance. For a split second, my eyes met the pacer's. It had no face, just a smooth, grey, featureless expanse of skin where its eyes and mouth should have been. And as my high beams washed over, that blank face turned its head, tracking my cab as I passed, a silent, damning accusation lingering in the air. I shot past the stopped car, my truck's side's mirror missing its open door by inches. In my rear view mirror, I saw the pacer still standing there, silent, faceless sentinel in the flashing lights, and then it started to move, looping after me, joining its partner in angry, frenetic chase. There were 2 of them now. The next few hours were the purest, most distilled form of terror I have ever known and I have ever experienced. 2 looping silent shapes in darkness, one on either side of my truck. The road in front of me seemed to warp and twist, the white lines writhing like snakes. The ghost town lights appeared and disappeared on the horizon, a siren's call I had to constantly actively resist, not to give in to the temptation, to the voices, to the paces. My GPS was useless. The screen, a chaotic mess of non-existent roads and impossible topography. I was alone in the dark, in a place that was no longer following the rules of the world I knew. My only compass was the memory of the old truck's voice. My only hope was the faint grey promise of dawn on the eastern horizon. I drove and drove and drove. I kept my eyes on the road. I didn't acknowledge them. I didn't stop. And as first tentative rays of sunlight finally began blessedly to pierce the darkness, they were gone. They didn't run off. They didn't fade away. They were just like snap, not there anymore. The wall outside of my windshield was once again familiar, empty, beautiful Utah desert. My GPS chimed and the screen returned to normal, showing my little truck icon sitting perfectly on the solid, reassuring line of 180. I drove until I reached town, the real one, the one that I supposed to reach. I delivered my load, I quit my job. I'm in a cheap motel room now, 1,000 miles from the stretch of the road, but I know I'm not safe. Because last night, I broke rule number 1. I stared. I let it see me as I saw him. And I have the terrible, unshakable feeling that the next time on a lonely road, late at night, a pacer will be there again until it makes me follow it. This amazing story was brought to you by Gamal Frank. He's a constant appearance maker on this channel. He's an amazing writer. Make sure you go follow him. There will be a link for him in the description and for the original story. And this week's shout out goes to Mr. Linus. He's an amazing streamer, variety streamer. He streams on Twitch and also he creates some content on TikTok and also on YouTube. So make sure you go check him out. And everyone remember, we're still doing the birthday subathon. It's going to be now spooky birthday subathon for the entirety of October, because we're going to make it also Halloween edition. We're going to have many streams, many more videos to come, and also a surprise video next week, a new gameplay. You will see. But remember, as always, to check out my other socials, including our Twitch, because it's hitting 600, so make sure to be there for the 600 celebration. in the link below, and TikTok, and also you can follow me on Twitter. And also make sure you take care of yourself, and you can join the Discord community link below. And until next time, remember, always listen to the rules, otherwise you shall be